From at Amberos, we have a question here that says, thoughts on solving, and then in parentheses, probably better to say attempting to manage. I like that. Predictable tax, low MAGI, and sequence of returns by building a 5-year TIPS income ladder, each rung matched to annual expense floor. I think it's a totally viable strategy. It does depend on other things, as with everything in retirement planning, the complexity of how things interact and what your goals are and why you're doing it. Using the TIPS ladder is a totally fine thing to do. I would call that a system called liability matching, which is basically almost like cash bucketing. Now, here's the fundamental thing to think through. What are we trying to solve with a TIPS ladder or a bucketing strategy that we are going to force ourselves to use in terms of spending money early in retirement? What it assumes is that we are guaranteed to have a negative market event in the first 5 years of retirement. Now, you could say it's a form of insurance, and sometimes insurance is the right thing, but we could also say sometimes that's inappropriate. And what I would say is I don't know that it would actually be beneficial for everybody to assume that the first 5 years of retirement are guaranteed to have poor market performance. It's totally possible. The issue is a TIPS ladder specifically is money that you invest conservatively that comes to maturity and then is spent and used for the spending money. You're timing the maturity of the bond such that you would use it for spending money for that year. And what that means is you're going to draw down that 5-year TIPS ladder over the 5 years. Now, if you kind of robotically draw down the 5-year TIPS ladder while the market potentially is going up, that would be a mistake in my opinion. So robotically applying something like this is a mistake, I think. However, if you have an adaptable strategy towards approaching this, which is, okay, I will do a TIPS ladder, and if markets go sour, I will use the income, the maturities and the income from that as my source of funding, great. But if markets go up, what I'll do is I'll take that each end of year or each end of cycle maturing TIP and reinvest that into something that is, that rebalances my portfolio effectively to support what's happening with market growth. Does that make sense? Because this is not advice, this is just education, but the way I think about it is when markets are going up, we want to live on profits. When markets are going down, we want to live off of the lowest loser or the things that are still gaining. As in my earlier example, you might want to live off of Kroger stock if you have it in 2022 while Meta was going down. But from 2023 onward, you might want to live off of Meta because Meta's been going up. I don't know. The point here is just, why would we harvest intentionally defensive material for living funds? We would only do that as a prophylactic or a defensive mechanism against the actual eventuality occurring, which is the bad market event. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. So, and I actually had the chat scrolled up way too high, so I didn't see your reply, but it sounds like we're on the exact same page. But I think it's like one of the reasons I kind of went detailed on that. It's like a really useful framework for everybody to apply. I don't think candidly most people who are watching my videos are going to end up behaving robotically. That's just not like the audience that is attracted to my videos. We're fairly technical, fairly detailed. You've probably invested a lot of time into watching my videos before ever getting to a live like this. So the audience who probably needs to hear that aren't watching this, but if you are and you get to it as a clip, my hope is that someone who'd never considered that is suddenly like, wow, that's a great new way to think about this. Like, I want to have a dynamic approach that responds to experiences in life and therefore not be too robotic about some specific plan. So that's a great question and a great opportunity for me to answer that at Amberos. Real quick, let me show you the exact 3-pillar comprehensive retirement roadmap that takes retirees from uncertainty to peace of mind that less than 1% of retirees actually have in place. Now, I've built hundreds of these for retirees, and I can say with a high degree of confidence that these are the 3 pillars every retiree needs to have in place in order to have full confidence that they're not missing anything in their retirement plan. And I broke each of these down by the specific questions. You can see them here that each needs to be answered and the best way to answer them. Now, we've done this across pre-retirees, recent retirees, married couples, single retirees, $1 million portfolios, $10 million portfolios, all the above, and it works. And it's my gift to you today. It's absolutely free. It's in the first link in the description below this video. It's going to say free comprehensive retirement roadmap training. Just click the link, enter your info, and you'll get instant access all for free.